Ladies, I'm trying to do my work today. Leave me alone type shift. Ladies, come on, you know.
I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile. I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect it.
In this video, I'm going to be sharing my one-stop guide for college applications, which basically includes everything I know. Things like tips I wish I knew before starting my college application journey, my ECs, stats and awards, and how to write your Common App essay. And I'll try to leave timestamps in the description for your convenience. For a quick disclaimer, I am obviously not a super cracked student, as you'll see in the video. I'm just sharing everything that kind of worked for me or things that I think worked. At the end of the day, college decisions and applications are super random and you can basically just take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just sharing the information that I think will be helpful. Okay, now for general tips.
I'm going to be reading most of them off of my computer over here, so if you see me looking in this direction, that's why.
But the first tip I want to share is to make a list of all the schools that you want to apply to, and then from that whole entire list of schools, prioritize the schools you want to apply early to and know the deadline. Next tip after that kind of goes hand in hand with my last tip, and that's to organize. I personally found that having a master folder on Google Drive was really helpful, and then I could make smaller folders within to organize like any essays I wrote or specific schools that had multiple requirements instead of just like essays. The next order of business is to get your test scores out of the way. You don't really want to be juggling essays while trying to study for the ACT and SAT. It's just really stressful. Even though it is doable, I would know from experience, it's not really a fun time. So I just recommend getting those test scores up before you really start writing. And the last tip is just to discipline yourself and work on your application at least a little bit each day. You don't really want to be cramming everything towards the end and like doing college applications every single day during like winter break or something. That's just super stressful. This also means hopping off Reddit. I know you're on applying to college subreddit or the Chance Me Reddit, and I'm just gonna say right now, like, hop off. That is not good for you.
I remember spending so much time, and honestly, it's just gonna make you insecure, and it's low-key addicting, so it'll just waste your time, so just hop off now.
If you don't know, my name is Lelaine and I'm going to be a freshman at Duke at the time I'm filming this. I applied in the 2024 to 2025 application cycle, and here are the schools that I got into. And the majors that I applied as were mostly CS or art, or if I had a school that had a major that was kind of at like the intersection of both, I would apply as that. So for example, Yale has a major that's literally called computing and arts, which I think my application fit, and Duke also has a major called computational media that I applied as. I didn't take the SAT, I only took the ACT, but honestly now I would recommend either taking both or the SAT more, especially in the context of 2025 because the ACT structure has changed. I'm not really sure how college admissions will kind of take that into consideration. Now for my ACT scores, I got a 34 composite, so I got a 34 in math, 34 in science, 35 on English, and a 34 on reading. I think for ACT, it's good to aim for a score of 33 composite and higher for a good chance to really be considered, and a 1500 or higher for SAT. I think for studying, there's not really like a super easy way to do it. I just grinded out ACT practice tests from the official ACT prep book, and I just grinded those out until I was consistently getting 34s, 35s, and 36s on the practice tests. Also, a pro tip, English for ACT is one of the easiest sections to improve your score. You low-key just need to memorize the grammar rules, so I think if you can get those solid at the beginning of studying, everything will come a lot easier. Bottom line, the more practice tests, the better for either the ACT or SAT, because the tests are literally just erased against time. I low-key think that grades don't really matter in the context of like all your stats. As long as you have like an upward trend of your grades improving throughout the years, I think you're probably good. You don't need all straight A's. So going on to my grades, I had a 4.0 unweighted GPA and then a 4.6 weighted. My school doesn't rank, but I go to a competitive high school in Nebraska, and I think I was probably in the top 10%. I'm not entirely sure about that. And I think for your GPA, you should always submit weighted. For AP courses, I took a total of 15 APs, but I did by no means get all 5s. I am not that smart, guys, and I think I only reported like 5 AP test scores. I would send scores only specific to the majors you're applying as. I think it's probably good to send any 5s though, and then maybe any 4s if they're relevant. So for example, if you're going like pre-med, send AP Bio and AP Chem test scores. And if you're going like CS, for example, send AP CSP, CSA. I think honestly like sending AP Stats and AP Calc if you got good test scores is good as well. Okay, now for ECs or extracurriculars, Common App is going to have you list them from most important to least important, and it's going to give you 10 slots for that. So 1 being the most important and 10 being the least important. You by no means have to fill out all 10 spots, but I would recommend having at least 5 good ones. I think a lot of people get caught up in extracurriculars as like something that has to be really big and have like a super big impact, which is probably important to have, but honestly I think people forget that hobbies can also count as extracurriculars. So like photography, knitting,
like literally anything.
As long as you can kind of describe what you do and like if you spent a lot of time doing it. I would recommend using abbreviations in the description, so examples like these, because you only get I think 150 characters for each description. I would use numbers, and if you have space I would put smaller like local awards that don't fit into your bigger honors. For my top extracurricular, I had a internship where I would design flood awareness postcards, so materials on how to kind of evacuate if you're in high flood risk area for low income and minority populations in rural communities, and we were able to distribute around 8,000 of those. My second extracurricular was doing policy debate, where I was co-captain of the policy debate team at my school, put how many tournaments I competed in, how many people I would coach, and my rank as a debater in the state. For my third extracurricular, I put that I was the Girls Who Code president of my school. So I would put how many officers I trained, how many members I was able to recruit, how many meetings I would lead, and kind of big impactful things that I did as president. For my fourth extracurricular, I did a physics internship at my local university. So I worked with a physics professor and 3 other undergrads doing like physics research, and I was also through that able to organize kind of a physics and art program as well for kids to do. For my fifth extracurricular, I did viola at my school. So I was in my school's varsity orchestra. I was a sectional leader, and I also did orchestra outside of school. So I was in a few other youth orchestras. I also did private lessons for a while, and I also put an award that I won on a local level. For my sixth extracurricular, I put for my family. People forget that family takes up a lot of your time, so that counts as an extracurricular. I come from a kind of big family, so I had to take care of my 3 younger siblings, so that entailed dropping off and picking up my siblings from school and kind of like babysitting and stuff like that. For my 7th extracurricular, I was president of the American Cancer Society Club at my school. I would lead bi-weekly meetings, and I quantified how many care packages that we would donate to hospitals and how many members I recruited and other things that I did within the club. For my 8th extracurricular, I put down as racket sports. I played badminton with college students at my local university and also pickleball. So again, hobbies do count.
Would I recommend you ranking them super high? No, but if you need spots to fill on your Common App, you can put that.
For 9, I did social media, and I put my TikTok and my Pinterest. I put the handles of my social media accounts in my additional info section, but you honestly don't have to do that. And then I put in the description of my EC how many followers I had and like how many views I would average. And for my last extracurricular, I had kind of a photography side hustle thing. I was like a freelance photographer, so I put how much money I earned and what I would kind of do for photo shoots and stuff like that. In terms of awards, I think this was my weakest section. You want to shoot for mainly international and national awards if you can, But honestly, if you have like state level awards or local awards and you don't have like those big awards, those honestly work too. My first award was this writing award for the National Council of Teachers of English. Second award was this art competition called the Celebrating Art Competition, and I was awarded high merit, which I think is like top 1.2% out of 3,000 art entries. My third award was the Scholastic Art and Writing Award, where I got silver key and honorable mention both in visual arts. I was able to update schools because I was awarded 2 gold keys and a silver key during my kind of college application process, so you can follow up to schools about any updates. For my fourth award, I was the state debate semifinalist for 2 years in a row for policy debate, and I was also a 3-time national tournament qualifier. Later on throughout my college application journey again, I got policy state debate champion with my lovely partner Sarah, so I also updated colleges about that. And my fifth and probably weakest award was the Seal of Biliteracy for Spanish, and I got a gold seal for that. Now, tips on how to write the dreaded Common App essay. I would personally start thinking about this as early as possible, ideally probably the summer of your junior year. There is a 650 word limit, but most people try to stay around the 620 to 30-ish word limit. There are 6 prompts, I think, that usually stay the same. There's one basically about your background, one about obstacles, one about beliefs, one about motivation, one about personal growth, captivate, and like an open prompt. So you can really honestly write about anything. I think the main idea of this essay is just to show your character and start early and write drafts for any ideas that you have. I also recommend that you revise. I think I had like 5 drafts for just one essay, and get feedback. Teachers and friends are resources that you definitely can use. For friends, I'd be a little careful though. Don't be too transparent with your essay in case of plagiarism. I would recommend going to friends that have already graduated or people you really trust. Keep in mind that it's easier to reject an essay than a person, so make sure that your essay really humanizes yourself. Also, just like a general tip for what not to write about.
Don't write about like a sports injury, someone else, unless they have significantly impacted your life and you can have a good idea on how to execute it without making it about the other person, or any essays that focus solely on like your extracurricular and awards.
What I found helpful when writing my Common App essay and brainstorming ideas is looking for good essays online. I recommend these ones that I thought were pretty profound and helped me generate a lot of ideas because they're really inspiring to me. That is most of the information that I wanted to share in this video. If you have any other questions, leave any comments or DM me, anything like that. My socials are in the description. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, but good luck to all of you on your college application journey. I really wish the best for all of you, and hopefully this video was helpful.